About Venezuela as the citizens are trying to regain freedom from the socialist communist regime. It is hard to believe that this country was once the fourth richest economy in the world and with one of the highest standards of living. As I speak now, people are eating out of the garbages and crime is the worst in the world. Tonight I would like to zero in to the gun ban that took place in 2012 and its long-lasting effects. Although Venezuelans don't have a strong sense of ownership as means protecting individual rights as we do here in the United States thanks to our Second Amendment, prior to 2012, people were able to purchase registered firearms from private companies. Socialist communist economics, especially the government seizure of private property without compensation, has been catastrophic for Venezuela. As a result, today more than 80% of Venezuelans face starvation, food and medicine shortages, and no health care. In 2012, the Venezuelan government enacted the Control of Arms, Munitions, and Disarmaments Law. The bill's stated objective was to disarm all citizens. The new law prohibited all gun sales except to government entities. The penalty for illegal selling or carrying a firearm was a prison sentence of up to 20 years. Despite criticism from the Democratic opposition, the bill went into effect in 2013. While Chavez's law was passed, there was only 13 firearms surrendered in 2013 and about 12,500 confiscated. So whoever didn't freely give up their guns, they were thrown in jail. It was clearly that the government wanted control over the firearms, as rampant crime was on the rise, which is statistically linked to poverty. Many people were okay with the new gun control because they thought that the government would solve crime by confiscating all the firearms from the people. However, it didn't take long for the Venezuelan people to realize, as the communist regime tyrannical measures intensified and the national homicide rate increased, becoming the world's highest, that the law-abiding citizens were now even more oppressed than before and could not defend themselves, as only the criminals and the government had a monopolized power on the firearms. While the government continued driving the country into the ground by stealing the citizens' purchasing power because of the increasing rise of inflation, which, by the way, in 2018 in December was almost 48,000%. 48,000%. The number of Venezuelans opposed to this tyrannical regime were growing by the millions. As thousands of protesters, many of them young men and women, took to the streets their discontent with the regime by voicing their opposition, the government began executing people during street protests through armed, trained thugs. With the help of the Cuban regime paramilitary training, the government allowed supporters to have guns so that they would shoot critics who held public protests. By the same token, the same government groups also carry out lethal acts of violence on unfavorable news reporters. Students protesting against the regime often were killed with a single shot to the head. To make matters worse, the government thugs, also called in Spanish colectivos, have impunity to injure and murder protesters. There's no justice. In addition, there's vast corruption and crime in the police force, which also has become another criminal arm of the government to silence the opposition through force. As a result, the current communist government, currently held by Maduro, has the inability to get away with aberrant crimes against humanity and carry out his destructive and malignant socialist agenda. As a result, Venezuela has become a tragic example. There's a lot of lessons we can learn from Venezuela today. It has become a tragic example of how socialism or communism, which is the same thing, leads to economic collapse. Monopoly of firearms to control the citizens, enslaving the masses by not being able to defend themselves. The result of this form of government is extreme poverty, massive human suffering, corruption, tyranny, starvation, disease, human trafficking, which according to the U.S. Department of State is the highest in Latin America. The question is, why would any rational person look at Venezuela and say, we want that form of government here? Unfortunately, the same politicians who now stand behind the late-term abortion also want gun control. If you stand for human life, help us protect